So we're live, waiting for Goody, and we will be. Let's do some adjusting of lights, and then we will. I'm not sure where we are live, but let's check. Sorry, guys. Still waiting for Goody. So let's see if we get it going here in a few moments. All right,
What's up?
my man.
How you doing?
I'm good. I think we're live on YouTube and various places. But anyway,
Oh, what's
let's
up,
see.
everybody? Cool beans. Claus, you look like you got some sun, my man.
Hold on. Let me just turn off this one. Sorry, I'm getting some echo here because I'm on two browsers.
Uh,
Okay, I closed the other browser because I was hearing myself on the other one. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you okay. How about me?
Yeah, fine, fine, very good.
Cool beans. How's Croatia?
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, got a burnt nose, but apart from that, it was nice enough.
Wow, you look
So
pretty
how
tan
are you
today.
how are you doing this week?
I'm good. I'm pretty tired today. I did a lot of stuff yesterday. Um, Otherwise, just been kind of in dog days of summer. But I've gone out like to shows and concerts the last few weekends. But like other than
Nice.
that, I've just been working out, running a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. Is it when's your 100 mile is coming up pretty soon?
September 12th.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. So how are you feeling about it?
I feel pretty good. Like that's one of my biggest problems is like I don't think I really process what I'm getting myself into sometimes.
Maybe it's
So
best.
yeah, exactly. So like with this, it's just, I've been putting a lot of stake into like nutrition and dieting. And then my good buddy that I'm doing the run with, we're doing a 100-mile race in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, September 12th. He lives in Boulder. So he's already up at
Right.
7,000 feet elevation. He quit
He's
his job.
acclimatized.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
quit his job like 3 months ago, and he's just been like doing like 10 plus miles a day in the mountains, 3,000 feet elevation gain. And I'm over at Crunch
Yeah.
Fitness doing a stair stepper and Roman deadlifts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
it'll I'm
think
I'm excited for the race. It's going to be a challenge. There's over 20,000 feet of elevation. So
oh my god.
it's kind of just for me, the way I'm looking at it is, how can I keep my gas tank filled up? Like I think where a lot of people balk out in these endurance sports is like obviously they run out of energy or maybe their muscles give out, but what can I do to prevent that from happening for the longest amount of time?
Yeah, so what's your plan on that? Curious.
Well, I'm betting big on ketosis. So, I've
Mhm.
been having a lot of protein in recent weeks, and I'm starting to dial back on that, do more of the fats for
Mhm.
energy. And the reason why I'm so big on ketosis is, well, I don't have a large intestine, so my digestive system works a little bit faster. And the truth is, with carbohydrates, like those go through your system faster. They have the fastest transit time. And then I would say from there, it's protein. So, and obviously those can work. There's complexities to that too. Maybe if you incorrectly cook meat and it's still pretty hard, like that might not get digested in completeness. But
Mhm.
to round up, what I'm getting at is, I digest fat super well for one
Yeah, of
thing.
course.
So
Sure.
being able to just be intaking fat, the caloric density. I know people aren't big on calories, but I say it in a positive way when talking about fat. 1 gram is 9 calories. So, it's just a very calorically dense, easy to digest thing. But then the big thing with ketosis is like, okay, if you're using carbs, you can maybe get away with like 600 grams, but like we have, hundreds of thousands of calories of fat stored in our bodies. And my bro science logic is that if I can tap into that, I think that'll help me, keep going longer into the race. And I've tested that
Sure.
out. The only, downside really is your flavor palette takes a little bit of a hit. It's a pretty bland way of eating.
Yeah, sure.
I'm hoping to, or my theory of working around that is leaning on teas. So I'm going to be doing like a lot of fat. I'll have jerky if I need it. I'm going to try to avoid it as much as possible. but then just drinking like a lot of hibiscus tea and ginger tea.
Yeah, I'd guess. I mean, for your special case as well, you probably want to definitely avoid fiber and anything that requires or needs a large intestine to get processed. And
Yeah,
yeah, fat sounds like a good thing. And I mean, you've been working towards it for a good while. Anyway, what about? Do you have any? You going to take any
supplements.
uh, I was thinking of any sugar, carb, honey, any kind of gel pack kind of backups or anything
No,
like that.
my buddy does that. He
Yeah.
calls it like mountain fitness or something where these guys
Hmm.
just put in miles and they're just in great shape no matter what, you know what I
Yep.
mean? And
Yep. Yep.
he's pretty healthy as is, but he leans more on the carbohydrates. And so he has it timed up where, every hour or whatever, I don't know how they do it.
Hmm.
They take like a Morton gel, which has your sodium, potassium,
Sure.
magnesium.
Yep.
Me, not so much. I'm not going to be utilizing salt at all. I actually just tested out some Mexican rock salt like 3 days ago, and I like definitely had like a little bit of water retention from it. Um, so for me, I'm more so like no salt, really maximize like not being thirsty. That's one
Yep.
of
Yep.
my
Yep.
big focal points. Is like I don't want to be thirsty. I don't want to be dependent on water. I don't want to be drinking and in my experience with the salting personally, and also interesting to note without a large intestine is that your large intestine absorbs excess water. So I don't
Hmm.
have that capability anymore. So like
Yeah.
hydration is like a big focal point for me.
Yep.
But long story short, less salt, less thirst, less water in the body, less sweat, less peeing, less stool. It's just less water weight. So that's a big focus point.
How many hours is it going to take roughly?
Probably between 25 and 30 hours.
25, 30. Yeah, it's just because I'm kind of reflecting on probably the longest I've done in terms of endurance, if you want to call it that, is maybe cycling a 5 hour bike ride, but that's kind of nothing. And I mean that's easy enough to do without any, or to do in ketosis. Very, very, very easy, no bonking, nothing. But of
Mhm.
course, when you get into 10, 15, 20, whatever, that's, at least for me, unknown territory. So
Yeah, and
so
the
I
thing about biking too is like first off, it's really weird how translational biking is to running. Like a lot of guys will get injured, they'll bike, start biking rigorously and then like their, mile pace goes up. But the thing about biking, I think where you can get away with some of this nutrition more so is like you're sitting. So you're not really using your
Mhm.
upper body. It's less of a
Sure.
full body workout. And
Yep.
it seems like bikers can kind of pack on the food and the calories a little bit more efficiently than runners can.
I think subjectively for me, and I'm not much of a runner, but I'd say, just a blanket statement from my side is biking is much easier than running, just one on one for the same person. So it's
Yeah, but
it's much tougher to run.
you can still break a sweat like super easily. Like I can like I'll be like I don't want to do a stair stepper. I don't want to do a treadmill. I don't want to run outside. The only thing I'll be able to do in a certain moment's time is biking. But 10 minutes into the bike ride, you're still getting a decent sweat, getting a decent workout. So there's definitely something with biking.
Yeah, I think the with biking you can, and obviously we're not talking about Tour de France level, top level biking, because that's obviously extremely hard. But let's say for normal people,
Take some
you
steroids.
can kind of,
Yeah.
y- if you run, you have to run. There's no escape. You have to run all the time. But with biking, you can freewheel it, at least when when you go downhill or whatever. and
True.
and so it's a very different sport. And of course, then with a lot of hours, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we both are very familiar with ketosis and the all kinds of benefits of a ketogenic lifestyle and diet, etc. But I think I think one of the things, uh, one of the things I'd like, and I think maybe we kind of as an introductory statement to our let's say coming back to doing podcasts and having talks here. I think there are a couple of things or several things we probably like to do. First of all, obviously we are a little bit focused on low carbohydrate things or lifestyles. That doesn't mean that we're denying other other types of lifestyles, and I think basically we are very interested in just understanding nutrition and what works well for ourselves and also for different people in different situations. So both Goody and I and James as well, who's not here today, uh, we like to be quite open-minded and experiment with different things, even if we might at times be very convinced about certain things. But open-mindedness is what got us where we are today, and we'd like to continue that. And I think different situations, different, probably different genetics as well, will have put you in a different position, different age. Obviously, we are very Goody is like he could be my kid,
Yeah.
so I'm going to be 60 in 10 days,
Well,
so
snap.
or 8 days actually. So I'm a little bit older than Goody, and I think that both age, probably gender, other genetics probably have some kind of an effect on what type of fuels are the most effective. And and I think for us, sort of at least what I envision for our new start with podcasting and discussions is that we're going to have some podcasts like this where we live stream, we just talk amongst just a few of us, and then we'd really like to invite other people who have made experience with restrictive or non-restricted diets and had successes, regardless whether they are ketogenic, carnivore, high carb, low fat, low carb, high fat, whatever. I think we're quite curious and interested in expanding our understanding and view of these things, even if we lean low carb ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes down to how do you want to approach diet and then going about it in the right way. Sometimes if you get dogmatic, you can look at some of these diets with a very like overarching view and you just see a
Mhm.
sugar diet as a sugar diet, right? Or a low carb diet as a low carb diet. But the bottom line is all of these diets have a good way of doing them, a not so good way of doing them. So it's what does that person want to do, and are they willing to devise a plan to do it?
Sure, and I think it's you know it's somewhat natural and easy to get. I wouldn't maybe call it dogmatic, but get very convinced that the method that worked well for you is is the one that you want to focus on, talk about, preach about, etc. Because if it worked really well for you. I've had extremely amazing personal health success with a ketogenic approach,
Yeah.
even even a non-carnivore ketogenic approach. So I'm not allergic to most plants. I guess so. So I'm not a huge anti-plant person, but yeah, I can see why some people benefit from consuming no plants as well. But 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 it's not for everyone. But um, and as we can see lately with these sugar diets and other approaches, yep, fine, they're interesting. I'm interested to. I'd like to, if somebody's listening who is has been doing a sugar diet or some other form of a low fat, high carb diet. I'm very, or we are very interested to have you on here and talk about your experiences
Yeah.
and hopefully learn something.
Yeah. it I I think the carbohydrate world it seems like that's one of those diets that's obviously it's super big. There's tons of different carbs that you can utilize, and that's one of the, in terms of like what can you implement, like a very strict ketogenic diet, like not everybody's maybe ready to do something like that if they're going from a
Sure.
conventional standard American diet. And like you take a guy like myself where, I don't have a large intestine. So like, you know, even there's even things within keto that don't work for me. Like I don't digest cheese very well, milk, etc. So like I think if you have like what we call an iron gut, you can jump into a dirtier keto and get away with it and see quick benefits. But with the carbohydrate world, one of the challenges that I'm personally seeing is like I think people get really gung ho on like, okay, I'm doing carbs, but now I'm not going to do any sort of fat. And like in my experiments with carbohydrate based diets, like if I go low fat, like I eventually start to drive a craving for fat of some sort. And like traditionally, what you're seeing people do is they'll do like Ninja Creamies and um, basically it just seems like the people get really good at like I'm doing baked potatoes, I'm doing masa flour, whatever, rice, but then they're not doing any fat. But it's like, okay, how can you implement some of these fats into a carbohydrate based diet? I think that's where you're going to start seeing more success, personally.
Y- Yeah, and I think that, of course I suppose there's a lot of yeah, it's easy to get enthusiastic about a specific way of doing things, especially if you're successful and
Yeah,
you get healthier and can do the things you want to do. Uh, I think for a lot of I think there's one of the big confusing elements or factors in some of the discussions that we have on X is uh, a group of people who are relatively young, so let's say under 40, and they've
that's
never
me.
really been sick. They have never been fat. They never really had, let's say, major health issues related to what they were eating. And then there's another group to which I belong, so older, uh, you know, diabetes, whatever, all kinds of metabolic issues. And I think that kind of um, if you've suffered from serious metabolic issues and you are of a certain age already, it kind of limits your options, and it means that you need to do other things, and you don't have the same options as when you're 30 and
Yeah,
you've never been sick. And I can say for me now with I'm soon 6 years into a ketogenic lifestyle, and even if I have a period of non-ketogenic eating where I include carbs, so let's say if I go on a holiday and just take a holiday from my normal life as well, it gives me no issues anymore. I don't get diarrhea or constipation or any, if I eat, let's say if I eat some pasta or if I eat something. So it seems that some of the things that caused problems before, now that I've regenerated my health, they in limited amounts they don't cause the same issues anymore. So
so it's
so
essentially kind of like make for what works for somebody like yourself and even someone like myself is create a strong baseline diet. In this case,
yeah,
we would advocate for a ketogenic diet or a
sure.
carnivore diet and have
Hmm.
something that you can do as a baseline for the majority of a year or your life or however you want to frame that. And then
Hmm.
also understand that you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have times where maybe there's a family gathering or you slip up or whatever, but how can you do that in a way that isn't completely derailing your weeks of whatever you've been doing.
Yeah, sure. And I think you mentioned the, let's say, the mental, emotional, psychological side. You touched on that before, and I think that's a pretty big one, which is often maybe it's somehow I don't think it's really
do you feel
taken
like
enough into account. Yeah.
do you feel like your baseline, would you say that it's like, does it require a lot of discipline or is it something that you can wake up and it's relatively easy for you?
Easy for me. It's easy.
And what would be like a typical, you know, like what does like your diet look like currently?
I just eggs and beef.
Eggs and beef?
Eggs and beef, and sometimes I add a little bit of cheese. I I don't eat a big amount of cheese, and I don't really. The only plants I eat these days, almost only plants, are fermented. So I make my own sauerkraut and my own ferments, and that works fine. But let's say if I eat if I make cabbage stew or some other kind of ketogenic or keto dish which has
Mhm.
plants in it, it doesn't cause any issues. If I eat a lot of fiber or heavy fiber type of greens, I get constipated. So probably because I usually don't eat that much. You kind of get conditioned, I think, to what you normally eat. But extremely easy for me to sustain. I mean, when I started out, I did 18 months of extremely strict keto. Absolutely, I really stuck to
It's like riding high.
very maximum 20 grams of carbs per day, weighed out everything, and it wasn't really that difficult. But then I kind of slid more into a more meat and all the plant foods, or most of the plant foods. I just I just didn't want to bother cooking that much. Um, and I think that's one of the things that makes it at least for me makes it easy, because I'm a really an avid overeater as a baseline. So I can eat not endless but almost endless amounts of food even if I'm totally stuffed. So it doesn't matter if
Yeah,
satiety
me
is
too.
not is a useless concept for me, because I can just keep on eating, no problem at all. So I need for somebody like me, I need to use both the right ingredient, the right kind of diet, so highly nutritious foods, and time restriction. And if I don't combine those two, I just eat too much. It's whether it's keto, carnivore, or standard diet. So yeah.
So baseline, your meat and eggs, and then if you're looking for a little bit of flavor, you might do fermented or cheese.
Yeah, I usually I don't have ferments every day, but mostly I have ferments, and then I have periods where I don't even bother with those, because I'm trying to keep food as a at an absolute minimum part of my life, which is an effective way for me to not get into cravings and overeating and these things. I just need to keep it as sustenance, and the easiest way to do that is spend the least amount of time related to anything with food. So food shopping, cooking, eating, and
Would you
everything.
say
So
sugar is your biggest driver for
no,
cravings?
eating. I just like eating.
But like, is like of all the macros, like let's say salt, sugar, carbs, fats, is sugar like the what? Like if you were to have like some blueberries or something, that's gonna make you
No,
want to eat more. No.
no. I just I am going to want to eat more, regardless what it is.
Right. Okay, I get you.
Yeah,
Once you start,
And
it's like
I never had a sweet tooth. I never had even as a kid, I liked eating steak and steak, cheese, eggs, this kind of stuff. So, and it's not difficult for somebody like me, not difficult to overeat. But
Mhm.
I'm lucky in that I would say I'm a slow gainer or a hard gainer. So I also don't get fat very quickly, but I do lose weight very quickly.
That's nice. I wish I had that
So
problem.
yeah, but yeah. So for me, I think one of our friends, Mike. I think to an extent I'm a little bit. I have some of the same issues as Mike. I don't think it matters whether it's you know blueberries or steak or whatever. I think there's a capability to overeat whatever it is.
Yeah,
So time
absolutely.
restricting is really something which is super effective for somebody like myself, and I suspect a lot of other people as well. And And a small shout out to Dr. Jason Fung from Canada, kidney doctor from Canada. He was the guy who I found online back in 2019, who seemed to be the kind of the fasting, intermittent fasting type of guru. So yeah,
God,
a
yeah, I
lot of
need to get more into intermittent fasting. Gosh, that's a great one. Lars, that's another shout out. Lars Williams or whatever his last name is, or
yes, yeah,
uh,
Lars,
Kongi. That guy is super big into fasting, and I'm kind
yeah.
of buying into it more myself. I don't do it as well as I should be doing it. What do you do? Like a 16-8 or
Yeah, I'd say mostly it's probably 18/6 is my
18-6?
typical 2 meals. 18/6 2 meals is kind of what it's gotten to typically be, and I typically have probably 70-80% of what I eat I have in the first meal, because within the next 6 hours I don't really get that hungry.
Right.
Um, yeah, really, I could easily do OMAD, but I just like eating too much. So
Do you do
I enjoy.
coffee?
And then I think the other thing for me is if I've done a lot of experimenting with multi-day fasting as well over the last years, and it's it's easy enough to do actually. Even a week is fine. The reason I usually don't do it is because if I do more than 72 hours, or actually if it goes over 48 hours, so more than 2 days, my sleep suffers.
What about your
So I'm
energy level?
guessing, although I haven't measured it, I'm guessing that my cortisol levels probably go up, and then my sleep starts to suffer, and it's not worth it. I mean, I'm probably about, let's say, 11-12% body fat, which is fine. And if I go if when I go below 10%, 10, 9, 8% body fat, sleep goes out the window. It's just not. It's not worth it for me. So
What's your energy levels feel like when you're doing a 3-day fast? I mean, when do you feel the most
great.
energy?
Well, I I do usually, the like Lars said at one time. I have the same as Lars. I do my PRs in the gym, or exercise wise. I get them when I'm about two days into a fast.
No
So
shit. Because I was
so
wondering if I should maybe do like a 1 or 2 day fast going into the 100-mile race to maybe enter like a deeper ketosis.
yeah, I think if you're running for 24 hours, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't do it. You're gonna burn your
I
you're
want to
gonna start
find
burning
somebody to help
energy.
me do it. No.
Yeah, yeah. No, let's don't do that.
Okay.
I'd I'd just do what you do, and then do your run, and then yeah, do that as a separate experiment.
Okay.
What I would do, but
Okay.
yeah.
That's what got me. I was hearing about like, okay, Lars and Klaus, they both said on the third day they have trouble sleeping. So like, okay, you're wired at night. But then also
Yeah.
you hear about these personal records at the gym with pull-ups,
Mhm.
push-ups,
Yep.
squat, and it's like,
There's no
okay,
doubt. There's no doubt. It's very, very clear. The push-ups, everything. It's everything lightweights on after 2 days of fasting. It works. The other thing is that I think the lack of sleep is maybe it's more of a psychological issue than anything else, because I'm not really tired either. So it's not like I'm exhausted because I don't sleep so much. It's more of I just like to have my sleep through the night rather than waking up and getting up at 3:50 in the morning and things like that. But
right, right. Well, I'm gonna be running in the middle of the night, so that's where I'm trying to figure out how to stay awake the longest. I'm not in South America, so I don't have a cocaine leaf that I can suck on.
yeah, I'd imagine staying awake wouldn't be. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Probably not, but that's when you start hallucinating and because you've been moving for 20 hours and it's dark out. I already have an eye astigmatism, so like colors blend, just darkness.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. It's gonna be
Yeah,
cool.
interesting. I mean, it's super interesting. I'm really it'll be good to have a we definitely have to do a live one on that when you're done.
For sure. I mean, it seems like when you look at like ketogenic people that go into these ultras, and I'm not going in like, oh, I'm going to win the race or even get top 20 or top 30 or even top 50, but I just want to see how far I can go, and I want to finish it. And traditionally, what you see with ketogenic endurance athletes is, maybe they're leaning on LMNTs or Morton bars or salting their
Hmm.
water. Excuse me, and maybe it's pre-workout or Red Bull or whatever. And I kind of want to try to take a more holistic approach and say, well, like, can you do this without added salt, without these energy gels, without sugar and whatnot? Like, can you get into like deep ketosis and really, make improvements in the endurance
You
world? And
probably, since you've, this is the way you've been training for months. It's the way you've. I don't see why not. I
yeah,
think I'm thinking of about our South African friend Sean,
the
the
biker,
endurance
cyclist.
cyclist Sean
Yeah.
Sacco, uh,
So
who
Sean, you're a
is.
pussy. I'm just kidding.
And yeah, I think my guess is you're gonna be more than fine. You're gonna have some good experience there, but I so to me it doesn't. I probably wouldn't start doing a lot of things differently from what I
Right.
normally do, because then what the parameters are, then maybe you get out of control. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think one of the things with the salt thing. Uh, eh, I think the salt thing is an interesting one because it's you know looking at uh, the general advice when people do a low carb diet and maybe even other things. So a lot of people get into some cramping on carnivore or low carb, and then lots of electrolytes, and take this and get more salt and all these kind of things. Um, I've kind of found maybe I do need some salt. I not zero salt, but the amount of salt I use is probably a third, a quarter of what I used to use before.
Mhm.
And immediately after I started keto, I'm just salty to taste. So I had to salt a lot because everything tasted totally bland. So in the beginning, the
Oh,
needs
for
seemed to
sure,
go up a
indeed.
lot, and then it just tapered out. And my suspicion is, at least for me, that when I salt a little bit too much, I kind of get a little bit into an imbalance situation, and that's when I start experiencing maybe some foot and leg cramps, mostly in feet, maybe
Yeah.
even in the hands, and I don't know. The best thing to do there is not, for me, not to add more salt, but just to get back to my baseline, which is salt to taste, and which is not a lot of salt.
Yeah, it's a complex thing. I mean, most people that get into, I need to change my diet, I'm really out of shape. It's like it comes back to this, and this is not pertaining to you, but people that are new and like you're saying, you definitely probably want some salt when you jump into a pretty exclusive diet like a keto diet, and your flavor palate's going to take a big hit than what you're traditionally doing. And
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
going to change a lot. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and another thing with people that are getting into this way of eating that you see is, oh, I'm peeing all the time, and people are saying, well, maybe you need to add more salt. Well, maybe transitioning to this diet, that's maybe one of the first steps of the elimination is you're reducing your water weight in your
Yeah, maybe
body.
you just need to, if you have to pee, maybe just go pee.
Go pee.
It's
Your body,
yeah,
it's
it's
part of the detox process. And people say, well, I'm physically active, I work outside, I work blue collar, I sweat, I work in the sun, like I need salt. And the thing about salt in my experience, and this is why I'm not really a big believer in sweat tests, is I used to sweat all the time. Like I played baseball, and my baseball cap would be super salty. You know, it'd have like the salt stains on it. Like I used to sweat like a motherfucker. And I also used to consume a lot of salt. So the thing is like if you consume more salt, you're gonna drink more water, you're going to have more extracellular fluid, and then you're going to sweat more. So, like, ever since I have changed, you know, I don't really use salt at all, you know, few and far between. You know, I'll have a little bit because shit does taste amazing.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
great.
yeah, like, but I don't sweat nearly as much. And that's part of my strategy is like, how can I reduce my sweat, you know, peeing and all this stuff? And you know, the salt is the answer. And to your point too, with if you look at a guy like myself that doesn't use added salt, it's not like I am like, okay, I'm not going to use salt, but I'm not going to change my diet. Like now I eat a shit ton of jerky, right? So like I
Mhm.
still have sodium targets. I'm still probably getting 700 to 800 milligrams of sodium a day just because I eat so much jerky and protein. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's not to say we as humans don't need sodium. It's
No, no,
just
that's not the point. Obviously,
my problem
that's clear.
personally is
Yeah.
it's really hard to modulate it where it's like, oh shit, I might have just accidentally put 1,000 milligrams on this one meal when I'm typically getting 600, 700, 800 in a day. So
Yeah, I think for me, I just recent experience with too much salt. So I just I super swollen eyes the next morning.
brain
Uh,
fog, it's like a hangover.
Not really brain fat, but just I'm just swollen fingers, everything. So yeah, I can immediately feel it. I think that's another thing with these types of elimination diets is you certainly learn what different things do to you. I don't
Mhm.
think you necessarily get more sensitive, but you notice you can more easily see what the sensitivities are that the human body, or at least your body, might have.
Salt's kind of that interesting mineral because for one thing I think it's truly powerful because for something to be truly powerful it has to have a lot of benefits but also it can have as equal amount of detriments. I mean that's true power is that it
Yeah,
can
maybe.
help you or it can hurt you. But the interesting thing about salt is I've heard that it can affect people in different ways. You know, for me if I have a lot I get like kind of agitated, I get kind of fired up. But you look at some of these regions of the world and like Poland, I think they've had salt. They've been using salt mines and stuff for thousands of years. I mean, back like 6, 7, 8,000 years ago. But then you look at certain, you know, cultures in indigenous America, for example, where it's like some of these guys just got introduced to added salt within the last 200 years. I mean, not even
Mm,
half of 1,000 years ago.
sure.
So I think it's plausible to say that it affects people differently as well.
Yeah, and I think that's you're touching on an important point. I think as interesting as these ancestral discussions are,
Super.
to me, yeah, be that as it may, at the end of the day, every one of us needs to find out what is it that what works for us, what works for me individually, and the only way to find out is to do a little bit of experimenting. So we can share experiences, we can have discussions, and I think that's the value of also of speaking to various people who have different experiences than we have is to underline the point that you need to find out for yourself what really works for you, whatever ancestral, genetic, epigenetic, and other reason you might have. And I think that's I kind of, in principle, I love minimalism. So in
Oh yeah.
principle, I would love, okay, I eat my certain number of eggs and certain pounds of steak every day, and that's it. And then
Mhm.
and nothing else, no supplements, no nothing. However, I do think there is a point of saying that since we have different genetics. We have different genetic mutations, which mean that some of us accumulate more iron and ferritin in our body, and
Yeah,
we have problems with other metabolizing other things. So I do think there's a case for specific targeted supplementing based on your genetic profile, and based on you going and getting your blood tested to see, do you have deficiencies or do you have too much of something, and then adjust adjust on that basis, which also for me includes donating blood. So while I would love to be a purist, I really I'm really in love with that kind of life philosophy and thinking. I'm just I'm quite pragmatic at the end of the day, and I do think that if we have the technologies, and by technology I mean if we have supplements, we have gene testing, we have understanding that can help us optimize so that we feel better, so that
absolutely.
we can live a better life. Why not use that? And this is not a this is not a paid promotion for Ozempic or anything like that, but just in principle, uh, let's be a little bit open minded. I do agree. Let's try to be purist, but also, you know, realize that we might have some needs which either are genetics based, situation based, maybe pathology based sicknesses that we've had that some other people didn't have, age related, and things like that. Our metabolism or digestion is not as effective, so it might be there might be a case to do some supplementation of some kind.
Yeah, vitamin D is a prime example, right? If you're a
Sure.
northerner like us, I
Oh yeah.
mean, some people
Hmm.
don't get as much sunlight as others, or it's colder. People are working, people just aren't outside as much, and seasonal depression is a very real experience for a lot of people. And something as simple as taking vitamin D can help alleviate some of those symptoms.
Yeah, I think the vitamin D, and get sunlight, and get sunlight even in winter discussion, that we see, with all respect, with all due respect to that discussion, I do agree. You can go outside in the winter time as well, and look at the sun. But I would just from practical viewpoint, I live at about 60 degrees north, and there are weeks and months where we simply do not see the sun. And the sun comes up, maybe it's 12, 14 degrees above the horizon, a thick cloud layer. Yeah, and minus 20 outside. It's a little bit theoretical exercise to say, yeah, go outside and get some sun, because you're getting it even if you don't see the sun. I mean, let's be a little bit real.
Yeah.
It's it's just not, it's not really happening, is it?
No, and
So
also, I there's probably a study, or this is probably well known, but like in my mind, it makes sense too. Like if you're from a northern latitude, you might be more drawn to fats and meats versus some of these
probably, yeah.
subtemperate or tropical regions that have all these plants and fruits and vegetables. Maybe they can digest plant matter a little better if their ancestry
I mean,
is.
there's a case for that, for sure. And but I think I'd say, going back to what I said before, I think I'd say that, yeah, make the experiment. And I think
Yeah,
if you do well with, you're eating your meat, you're getting enough fats, and you're doing well even with eating a good amount of uh, carbs in the form of whatever, fruits, whatever. If you do well, if you don't gain weight, if you're healthy, and your blood markers are fantastic, well, then there isn't really a problem, is there? Why wouldn't you do it? And if you don't do so well, obviously you shouldn't. And I think you can obviously, you can go and get an ancestry DNA test. But when I talk about DNA testing, I'm talking more about finding out what kind of gene mutations you might have. So whether you have an MTHFR mutation, which means that you it's probably a good idea to take methylfolate and methylcobalamin as a supplement, because your methylation, your capability of methylating is not very good. and not so much your ancestral mitochondrial background, but why not? You can get both things done in the same test, and I think for me, I had it done, and I'm ancestrally, I'm mitochondrially, I'm a Swedish person. So even though I don't have a Swedish nationality, but
That's interesting.
yeah,
Northwest European
it's
is what I say.
yeah, it's just it's um, it's the mitochondrial mitochondria is inherited in the maternal line. So I have a maternal line which is at the end of the day it's from Sweden. So
Is that how that goes for most people?
mm, well,
So the maternal line.
mitochondrial uh, your mitochondrial expression is determined by the maternal line. Yeah, for
Oh, that's
everyone.
pretty interesting. And what does that
Yeah.
mean in layman's terms or in bro
Well, it
science?
means well. Good question, and I'm not an expert on mitochondria, but it does have a it's likely to have an effect on the things that we just talked about, which is what kind of what is your tolerance or your kind of metabolic preference in terms of nutrients, and probably and we're into the ancestral stuff, which I kind of a little bit say that I don't want to get into, but if you have an ancestry which is more towards being from regions which did not really have carbohydrates available as food for most of the year, for most of the last several 100,000 years, then there might be a case for you to be that a more carnivorous type of diet would be good for you.
I wonder if that
And on
goes
the
the
other
same.
hand, if you're from if you have mitochondrial DNA from a region where you had carbohydrates available more of the year, so closer to equator, you might be more tolerant to carbohydrates.
That's
At
interesting.
least that's my understanding. But
I wonder if it's the same for salt as well.
yeah, maybe I don't know. I and honestly, that's one of the things. It would be nice to have Amber back here and a few other people as well to give us the actual scientifically backed facts about these things. That how quickly or how slowly do these things change? So if we let's say we invented salting of herring 2,000 years ago, is that enough to have an effect on our DNA expression,
I feel
or
like it would personally. 2,000
or
years.
or is it does it require a longer? And I just said 2,000 year. I don't know what it is, but they've been salting herring for a long time at least.
And it's also pretty good.
Not a long time, but let's say a long time in terms of one human life anyway.
Right. Right. No, that's that.
So anyway, if somebody's listening and knows something about mitochondria and how long it takes for genetics to make fundamental adaptions, and would like to join us in the following weeks, please let us know, and we'll be more than happy to have you on and talk about that. Listen to uh, information on that.
That's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. So cool. Are you doing any sort of bike rides or races or anything coming up in the future? I guess you got winter coming around the corner.
Yeah, we've it's the weather is nice enough. It's I don't know, 50 outside, 45, 50. So it's not super hot, but nice enough. No, I don't have any competitive stuff. And I don't know, probably I could or should get into it, but I guess I've just been more focused on doing my little challenges like the Bobby push up and pull up challenge and these kind of things.
Do you have any? Yeah. So how's the push ups challenge going? You've been doing
It's
like
it's
you got how
it's
many
good.
you
I'm
got?
doing my 350 push-ups. I'm doing every day. So in about 2 months, I'll reach 100,000.
Jeez, man.
So by beginning of I think it was the 2nd of November or something. If I go at the current rate, I'll reach 100,000 this year.
Wow.
So it's uh, it's a bit of a chore, but it's not really that difficult. But it's not like we haven't reached habit level teeth brushing of teeth yet. So
Ha. How many
it's a little
push-ups
bit
can you
annoying.
do in one go?
I do usually when I get up, uh, I go to the loo, have a glass of water, and then I do a first set of 120.
Wow.
I could
That's
probably
impressive.
do more. I could probably do more. It depends a little bit on how I slept and other things probably, but I can always do 120. Yeah.
Do you do the rowing machine?
Yes. No. Nope. Nope. But I do seated rows. But
See
yeah.
the rows, gotcha.
But I think rowing machine is probably one of the things I want to add at some point. I kind of like it. So
Do you do pull-ups?
I do lat pulls.
Lat pulls?
But so actually, the pull-ups I did this week as part of this challenge. Can you do it? 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in less than 10 minutes. Those were the first pull-ups I've done in a year. So I've just done lat pulls because my elbows. I got golfer's elbow because I was doing 100 pull-ups a day in July last year, and
Mm,
it was just too much.
that's a
You know,
lot of
I
pull-ups.
got tendonitis. And it took like forever for it to go away. So I've been doing lat pulls, but with much more than my body weight. So actually doing the pull ups for the challenge was it felt really good. It felt very very nice.
Nice.
So
What do you have any diet or nutrition experiments coming up?
I don't have anything planned at the moment. So yeah, no egg week on the horizon at the moment. But if somebody wants to do an egg week and needs me to join, I'll join.
Yeah, you're always down for the egg weeks.
I'm down for it.
That's funny.
I'm
Yeah, I
down
think
for supporting, helping, being there for our friends.
right. That's funny. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of bulking after this ultra. Maybe test out some of this goat milk powder and just get freaking massive on goat milk. So
Yeah, sounds good. I think for me, one of the things I've been just pushing in front of me has been getting into some actual sprinting. So sprinting as in running,
oh yeah,
and
man,
and I
that's
think
one thing that's been in the back of my head for like the last 3 years.
yeah, I think we need to get on that train
Yeah,
finally.
we do. You know, like there's like, and this is one thing I'm big on. I posted a tweet about it last week. Is like, you know, as you can get closer to this objective truth of nutritional eating and actually eating foods that your body desires, you can kind of trust those voices in your head a little bit more. Whereas if you're eating
Oh yeah.
shitty, like it's like you might not be thinking straight. Like
Oh,
if
for
I'm
sure.
in like a shitty eating shitty in a rut or something, I'm like I don't trust myself. I'm playing it
Yeah, well,
conservative,
you
you
know, we,
know.
we don't have we don't really have to look too far for examples. If you're smoking weed or if you're drinking
Yeah,
alcohol, you're definitely,
but
you're probably
even
not
then,
making the best
man,
decisions, are you? About other
even
things either. So,
true, but also like when I do go out to a show, because I'll have like 2 or 3 tequila waters and like, but like without a colon, like it's a big day. Like it's a big day of preparation. Like I'm like drinking fat. I'm watching my protein consumption, zero carbs that day. Like everything is just like on point. And
yeah.
like even when I am intoxicated, I feel like I can trust myself a little bit more. Obviously, you're gonna be goofy, but yeah. What I was saying though was like I feel like I've been even when I'm like in really good shape and getting like these positive thoughts in my mind, like one of those thoughts has always been like, you should run sprints. And like I just ignore the hell out of that.
Yeah, it's a chore.
There's something to it for sure.
Yeah, but it's like, and doing a little bit of sprinting is, It's, it's like doing 300 push-ups. It's not. It's really the biggest obstacle is your just your own head.
Yeah,
Doing 350 push-ups takes less than 5 minutes.
right.
There's really no excuse not to do it. I mean, just talking for myself. I'm
For
not. I'm not.
yourself, most people, it's
I,
going to take a little longer.
yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not suggesting that everybody should do 350. But the point is whatever the number, whatever the exercise. If you time it, let's say you do whatever you need to do, 3 4 sprints. I don't know how much you need to do, probably not a lot. If you do it every day or every other day, we're talking about a few minutes a week. There isn't really you know there isn't
You get
really
good at them fast.
an excuse to not to do it. So
You get good at push-ups fast too. I mean, 2 weeks into doing push-ups every single day, and next thing you know, you're ripping out 30, 40,
yeah,
and
yeah, it's I'm a lightweight, so there's not much to push.
you're lucky,
But I
man.
have put on, in the last 4 years, I have put on 9 kilos, 10 kilos of mainly muscle. So
What's that, like 15, 20 pounds?
let's say if it's 10 kilos, is 22 pounds.
Nice. That's impressive. You
Yeah,
feel
so it's
strong?
it's it doesn't, when I on a kind of daily and monthly basis, it doesn't feel like anything. But if you look at it on a 4 year level, it accumulates slowly. Which actually reminds me of one thing that I think we should also talk about at some point. So supplementing with vitamins and minerals is one thing, but I think we should talk about uh, steroids, so testosterone and other kind of things. I think there are some health points on, especially on TRT and maybe some other hormone supplementations for the ladies. And then I think it would be probably healthy for us also to discuss or talk a little bit about the just PEDs in general in terms of fitness, muscle growth, and these things. And I'm by no means suggesting that people should use them. In fact, I'm probably definitely suggesting people should not take them, especially if they are
Don't jump
young.
into them, try to do things, I would recommend trying to optimize in and how can I get my testosterone up naturally? Because I'd agree.
Exactly.
A lot of
But
people,
I think but I think it's just an area that we should talk about. We should do at least one, if not several, talks about that, and maybe try to find some people who could give us some insights. Um, Obviously, just doing taking a lot of PEDs for aesthetic reasons is obviously completely ridiculous. Well, in my opinion,
yeah,
but I think there's a case for talking about it, and at least then we can get some viewpoints rather than just declaring it a taboo that we don't even want to talk about. That's I'd prefer that to have an open discussion
absolutely. I
about
mean, I
that.
see a lot of, I follow some bodybuilders and like they're obviously doing it for different reasons. These guys live in the gym and they want to get as strong as fucking possible. It's like a little bit different process, but also you have this crossover where there's a lot of people my age that, I can't verify this. I'm sure there's a study on there, but like low, my generation has a lot of low testosterone energy. I don't know if I'm on or off about that, but like just when you're talking to people, you can just get kind of weird vibes sometimes where it's like it's like I don't talk to people and I'm like this guy's got low testosterone. It's not like that, but like when
Yeah.
it's made aware to you, you start to kind of pick up on it a little bit, just out in public and things. And
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there are a lot of young men who act like a bitch, and
yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, there's ways to get it up naturally, and but you my thing is like once you get on TRT, it's like okay, I'm on TRT, so now I got to really start focusing in. So it's like why not focus in first, see if you can boost some of the stuff naturally, and then consider it.
For sure, and I think a lot of a lot of the things we do here in with our dietary lifestyle choices here are things which dietary and exercise lifestyle choices. I think a lot of that, a lot of those things are things which also naturally help increase testosterone levels.
Yeah, I mean,
So
this whole intermittent fat fasting thing that
yeah,
like to do, where basically you have intermittent fasting, where you'll drink your coffee or whatever, and then you don't eat. Intermittent fat fasting is where you're basically doing intermittent fasting, but you're also utilizing these strict sources of fat. So like in this case, it's high stearic acid, and what I've found when I do this is like my libido and my energy and my confidence just spikes. Like everything goes up, and like I think there's something to be said of this concept of like saturated fat is an excellent precursor to testosterone building in your
yes.
body. And but go further than that and say what types of saturated fat should I be focused on. And my personal experience says that that's these really high stearic acid fats.
Yeah, and I think that's another good one. We could maybe do a deep dive into the different types of fats and where you typically which foods do typically contain which kind of fats. I think it's a
Yeah.
good theme and something which is probably uh, you know a lot of people may not uh, have that on hand in memory. So
And then there's the minerals and nutrients and all that fun stuff. You saw the Ray Pete world got super gung ho on zinc and how zinc is good for testosterone and stuff. Well, meat is super rich in zinc, so
yes.
something like pemmican or fatty meat is pretty excellent. Especially if you're working in tandem with how your body can digest certain things. So
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's anyway with the supplementation or whatever source you have. I think it's pretty it's not too difficult to understand how much you get of whatever minerals and vitamins from whatever foods, at least in
mhm.
principle. And then if you do regular, let's say maybe annual or blood testing every 6 months or whatever, annual is enough probably. Then you can see if you have deficiency or if you have surplus of some things, and then you can adjust either with supplementation or with uh, with what you eat. I think one of the things. I mean, there are something like liver. If you eat a lot of liver, I think you there is a potential for getting maybe overdosing on or getting a little bit too much of some things. And same, of course, if you supplement, if you do massive levels of vitamin pills or mineral supplementation, you might also get too high levels of certain things. And yeah, good
Yeah,
to
don't
keep
do
it checked.
Viagra. No, I'm just kidding. I've never done that in my life.
I guess I get that's another thing. Nitric oxide,
Is that what
Viagra,
that is?
or yeah, I think
I'm gonna
both.
look it up. What is in
I think
Viagra?
I think there is my understanding at least is that there could even be some benefit of taking these maybe not in the doses that are usually used for if you have erectile dysfunction or something like that, but in smaller doses it could have some health benefits.
So
But
apparently this is just from Google AI. So the main active ingredient in Viagra is something called sildenafil citrate, and there's not any foods that have it, but it says it's best to avoid large amounts of grapefruit and grapefruit juice as they can increase sildenafil levels in the body. So I don't know. I guess if you're trying to get laid, drink some wine.
yeah, I think hold on, where am I? Here
Sorry.
we go. Yeah, I think if you take these, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it to be
Oh,
honest, but
here it says foods to consider with sildenafil. Here, let me look that up actually. Sildenafil, foods with sildenafil. So foods rich in nitrates, uh, lysopene, omega-3 fatty acids. I don't know. This is saying like protein, lean protein. It's basically saying lean protein, fruits and vegetables, healthy fats. So basically everything.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
yeah, but anyway, I think if somebody knows something about this, I think this Brian Johnson, the
I love
vampire
that
guy,
guy. Man.
he's taking a smaller, he's taking a daily dose of I don't know if it's Viagra or the other one, but a smaller daily dose. I mean, he was talking a lot about his nightly erections, but somehow it's a little bit, you know, what the hell is he even talking about if he's taking an erection enhancing drug? This is like giving normies advice on how to train in the gym when they are taking PEDs. What's your credibility for that then?
Is he married?
I think I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like as a single guy, I wouldn't want to be doing that. But if I was in a relationship or something, it might make a little bit more sense. Just seems like a dangerous game to be playing out there.
Yeah.
Actually, another thing quick about TRT is I love the dudes on TRT because they all like, I don't know, like these people that are on TRT, like they're just so like, maybe on like some guys are on all this stuff and super razzy, jazzed up and fired up, but a lot of people I talk to on TMT, like TRT, they have like this like calm, unbothered vibe to them. It feels like.
Sure. I think the again, this is my understanding, but I think one of the where they started with testosterone supplementation, or a therapeutic testosterone supplementation, was it started with older guys who had very low testosterone levels, and therefore also get into some depression issues and all kinds of mental health issues,
Mm,
where you can with just getting your testosterone back to, let's say, within the normal range, um, you can get rid of your depression symptoms, and you can feel normal, energetic, and feel good again. So
oh yeah,
not related to building muscle or sexual performance or anything like that, but
but
simply to quality of life.
it's true. I mean, what is it? They say it starts to levels start to drop after age like 60 or something, and I see a
I
lot
think
of
it starts dropping much earlier than that, actually.
much
Yeah,
earlier. But with these
yeah.
older guys, I mean, a lot of the boomer generation's kind of susceptible to not really knowing how to eat certain foods, and so it's like
Mhm.
it hits people really hard with low testosterone. You can see it, especially with the
Yeah,
older.
and it's I think, to my understanding at least, it's relatively easy to. First of all, it's very easy to measure, so you can just get a blood test and find out where you are, and
Mhm.
and I think I'm not exactly sure how they do it, but my understanding is that you go to your doctor, you get an injection once a week or once every 2 weeks or something like that.
Yep.
But I
And my,
haven't I haven't looked into it yet. My last level was just in the middle of normal range, so
so you just go get a blood test, and they'll tell you
yeah.
your testosterone levels. Okay.
Yeah, you just get a yeah. You can test a little. Of course, your level changes throughout the day, but usually, I think at least here, when you do, they typically do most of the tests they do, whatever blood test they are, they usually do them in the morning, so fasted in the morning. So
I want to go do one of those soon. Hopefully, I can sneak one in before my ultra marathon. But
yeah,
no, there was a
yeah.
my. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'll say my ex, kind of a sad story. Her mom was probably 10, 15 years younger than her husband. And the guy was probably 70 something and she was 50 something. Married for 20 plus years. Well, she ends up getting a divorce from him 3 years ago, or 2, 3 years ago. And you look at the guy and it's like, was he, how much has he changed in the last 20 years? And because, like, just talking to my ex too, like, kind of a little bit of like a energy list, a little bit deadbeat, it's
Mhm.
like not active, doesn't, you can see what he's eating, and you got to question, some people look past some of these things, and then you see firsthand how this affects relationships and whatnot, and it's kind of scary, to be honest, that like,
Scary. It can be very dangerous. It can be deadly if you don't. And I think certainly for me, I'm keeping an eye on it, and I'm not gonna, if I get into the situation that it seems relevant to do TRT, I'll definitely do it. I just
absolutely.
think I just think for one of the considerations I have is that since we are, um, I guess to an extent we're trying to set an example of trying to use natural means which are optimized to whatever our individual situation is to be as healthy as possible. So mainly using healthy diets and specific exercise. Um, it's much my preference to um, not to do TRT until it's absolutely necessary, if
Yeah.
it gets necessary. On
Yeah.
the other hand, like with my supplementation attitude, while I like to be purist, I like to be pragmatic even more. So
Yeah.
I think
I'm,
I
I'm
I,
big
I
on
don't want to
that.
be depressed just to be more credible or whatever, so
Well, that's a big thing I see is like one of the things I'm big on is optimizing your cheat meals, because a lot, like especially ketogenic diet, you're going at a steep trajectory, right? And oftentimes you get caught up in that steepness where it's like, okay, how can you have a cheat meal where you're still on your trajectory? It's just not as steep, so you're not going to fall off and you can continue on your path. And like one of the biggest issues that I see in the nutritional world, just in everyday life with my friends that aren't on Twitter and whatnot, is like I have a lot of friends that are in really good shape, right? But like just the amount of discipline that they have to maintain that. I mean, you see these guys that are in great shape, but it's like, okay, I don't go out anymore. I don't drink anymore. I don't do anything anymore. My life is in the gym. And like, it's like you're working really hard to maintain something. And how can we have open-mindedness to help people just optimize whatever it is that they want to do, to just have it be relatively easy.
yeah, and I think that's I suppose one of the things when you're not living this kind of lifestyle that we are, we probably look like total extremists, crazy lunatics. But the fact is that doing it this way makes everything much easier. It's much less effort. It requires almost no discipline,
Yeah.
and and it's just very easy to stay very healthy and be active in the way that you want to be active.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
you can't. I think the point is, at the end of the day, you can't have everything. You can't live an overindulgent life with unhealthy foods, drinking, boozing, using a lot of drugs, not getting sleep, and doing all kinds of, just indulging in everything all the time, and then use some Herculean discipline for a while, and it's not going to give you as good a result as getting your habits sorted out, having healthy habits, and then maybe from time to time digressing from those, like you said, the cheat meal, or fine, then you have a drink, an evening with drinks with your friends. If you have
That's
it
it's the thing.
a few times a year, so what? It's not gonna.
Like I noticed, like I got none of my friends from high school listen to house music. So like, man, I've gone to more than a few shows by myself, and it's really fascinating because I'll go to these shows and I meet people, that I talk to all these people, guys, girls. You're dancing for hours. I'll have maybe 3 to 4 drinks the whole entire night. I mean, that's
Mhm.
including pre games. So like I might have
Yes.
like one or two drinks at the show, but then I also have like my sports bar friends where we'll go to a sports bar and it's a little bit more of an in-group vibe. You got a table of people here, table of people here.
Hmm.
I have my best conversations fucking smoking cigarettes. You might have 5 plus drinks because you're just drinking sitting around a table, and and then at the end of the night it's let's get drunchies or this and that. So like what you do with your social life seems to matter too with like the indulgences that you get into. Like when you go out to a bar, you don't need to get super hammered. You don't need to have fucking drunchies. You got to be able to find that balance. And for some people, it's a trigger. Like some people, they go and drink. I got one buddy that can't. He's off limits from alcohol because he becomes a different person.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah. And
interesting. It affects people differently.
I think I had, much of my career, it involved a lot of business drinking. I don't know what else to call it, but
That's heavy
I
drinking.
travel a lot especially in Asia, and good lord, a lot of drinking, crazy, crazy drinking. I did not enjoy it at all, but somehow you can't really,
Escape it.
you can't really say no. You just, but yeah. Anyway, I'm glad I can say no now.
That's why I kind of had that post the other day. It was like, you always hear about like what who defines you is what you do behind closed doors. But nowadays, it's like, what are you doing with people in front of people? Because I see
Yeah,
people like overindulge just to satisfy a business relationship, and then
sure.
yeah, of course, behind closed doors, you're going to go and make your healthy meal. But do you have the pride in yourself to lay that foundation in everything that you do?
Yeah, good. Good. Then another thing that comes to mind is that we, um, in the old days before current social media, mm, most people were living behind closed doors, and unrelated to your comment and your point. But these days, yeah, what do you do? I mean, you can have an anonymous profile and be a bitch online, or you can just make the
Yeah.
decision that, okay, fine, here we are, this is me, and there are no closed doors. It's even if it's not obviously 100% transparent, but it's very transparent how you live your life and what you do. I mean, here we are live. People can look at our faces and see whether do we look like a bunch of drunks, or does it seem credible what we say and do? And yeah, not too much closed doors.
Yeah. Well, with nutrition, I get why like some people want to stay anonymous. There's this whole what is the word like that you said, this anonymity vibe, like people love to get off.
Yeah, I'm not. Of course, I'm giving them a bit of it was a bit of a dig, but I'm not. I can understand and I fully accept that some people
No, when I first got
need
on,
want and need to be anonymous for
yeah,
whatever reasons. But I think for me, I kind of the reason I'm not anonymous and I have the same name on all socials. I'm on with my own name on all socials, is because my understanding, let's say 10, 15 years ago when it started, was that there is no way that we're going to be able to escape more or less complete transparency. Also, I'm from a corner of the world where the government, the banks, and everybody knows everything about everybody. We are completely transparent. My neighbor knows how much I pay in taxes and vice versa. So we're already transparent people here. So we can't hide. So fine. So I'm not going to hide.
well, too, if someone wants to omit who they are, that's whatever. I get it, but also, I think it puts a more reality to the forefront. Where like just to put it straight, like if you have like this macho man that's not yourself in your avatar, you might not get questioned as much. But if you're upfront with who you are, people might question your rhetoric a little bit more, and that might in the long run help you grow more as well. Because
100%.
in the diet world, like I think we've really gotten into this like metabolically healthy thing where it's like, oh well, this is just a young guy and like he just has it figured out or whatever. But also like, you know, this sounds super bro science, but like your body is a temple, and like it does reflect who you are as a person at the end of the day. And it's I say that free of judgment. You know, I have tons of friends on here that are, you know, they're on their journey and figuring things out, but they're fully transparent. You know, I started on Reddit and I was anonymous, and when I was anonymous, and I have an anonymous Reddit account too, but with nutrition, like on here, I try to be as transparent as possible because when you're anonymous, I think it's a little bit easier to bat heads and get into arguments. And where does that
Yeah,
get you?
I think there is a huge hygiene factor in not being anonymous. You know, you just you have to you have to behave, and which is good. Um,
The way it's
you have
more,
to
it
be
seems
you have to
more.
behave. You have to be, and if you're not consistent, you know, you get called out on your bullshit, which is good. You know,
Maybe it's a
but
deeper thing than maybe this needs its own conversation too, because it could be deeper than we perceive. Where a lot of anonymous accounts that I come across is just a lot of men on this app, and a lot of the nutrition women are not anonymous. They almost use their looks to their advantage to like, you're a good looking girl, like guys are gonna follow you, of course, right? Um,
yes,
so I don't really know where I'm going with that, but there might be something more beneath the surface, hormone related.
yeah, yeah, probably. That's definitely not why I'm not anonymous, but
Yeah, or I saw, you know, I've even seen, I'm not gonna say names, but I see one girl posting about like how gelatin has made her lose more years on her life than any other thing she's done. This is a girl that's done like Botox on her lips. She had a jaw thinning procedure. So
wow.
you gotta trust these people with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, I mean, we're all
Yeah,
humans at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, and one more side note too, like the thing I love about these diet communities, especially like the keto world, a lot of the people I've met in the keto world come from some sort of hardship. You know, maybe it's like a hearing aid, or you know, they had their colons removed, or they got out of a bad relationship, or they've suffered from obesity. But a lot of the people that I meet on here from the keto world come from some sort of hardship, and I think there's something unifying about that, and that we all just want to be healthy at the end of the day. We're not here to, you know, I'm not going to be your friend because you look a certain way or whatnot, you know, just be
oh, for
yourself.
sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I totally agree, and certainly, I think, yeah. I mean, we all have some kind of, at least, and the two of us as well. We have our own health journey, or repair of health journey behind us, and I think
Absolutely.
that's the one of the key points is that we're here because we would like to contribute, help friends on here, and help people on here, and support people, and also, of course, learn new things, but encourage people to take the steps, and do the things,
Yeah.
and live a healthy life, and I think, uh, we, if somebody is in a situation where they feel that it's best to be, for whatever reasons, best to be anonymous, etc., that's obviously I don't really actually distinguish when I communicate with people. I don't even look at, is this anonymous or not. I just, if it's something that I feel I want to respond to, I just respond. I don't look, does this person have, how many followers, is it anonymous, whatever. I just respond,
Yep.
and interact. So
Yeah, and just speaking of all this too, I know we've been discussing possibly getting into coaching services here for like
mhm.
low carb and ketogenic people. So it's something to keep in mind in the future if anyone's looking to, you know, get into a little tight knit community and get some mentorship and nutritional direction. You know, where that's something that we're looking to get into.
Yes, yeah, and we'll come back to that with in a more structured way, but yeah, that's we are going to get into that in a, let's say, more serious and professional way, than so far, and we think we have, we have what it takes to provide value. If if you want the help to get on your journey, or if you know somebody who wants to get their life sorted out and their health improved.
Yeah. So like with that, what one of the things we're looking at is, discussing, where's your diet now? So whatever your diet is at currently, and then, you know, working into a ketogenic low carb diet and a way that you can apply that and make it last, teaching some of these nutritional concepts that we find are important to know so you can, think about diet for yourself and not be relying on coaching, in the long term. And then like the physical aspect of it as well, X amount of steps per day, workout programs. So, basically, creating nutritional plans, creating workout plans, and then creating some educational content to help you guys think, for yourselves so you truly understand what you're doing and not just listening to guys tell you what to do.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, uh, at the end of these things, you can get good help. We can provide definitely provide good help. At the end of the day, it's about what each of us do individually and the choices we make and what we put in our mouths and not. So each of us has to do the work
Yep,
on our own.
absolutely. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think we should probably wrap this up because I'm actually about to go sign a lease for an apartment.
Sounds good. Yeah, yeah. Let's
Mhm.
wrap it up. And I think the we're going to come back. We're going to try and do a weekly one. And so, like I said in the beginning, it's going to be the core team from our hero, Health for
Yep.
Every Region and Origin, and or with guests who have stories, viewpoints, insights to share. So we're going to have a mix of those things. Enough. There's enough to talk about for a long time, anyway. So
If there's anybody or any topic that you find interesting, let us know. We'll be sure to not be as sporadic as this one. We kind of launched this one and just had a fireside chat. But yeah,
yeah.
we'll definitely have things more structured and laid out, and put out into the public earlier.
Yeah, and anyone who's wants to share a story or has insights, etc., feel free to contact us on our on DMs over on X. You can see our handles here in the picture here. I think it's visible, should be visible at Ron Quasimodo and at Klaus Carlsen one. So feel free to drop us a line and we'll get in touch.
Absolutely. Cool beans, man. Great chatting.
All right. Take care. Have a good signing.
Thanks, man.
and
We'll be in
talk to you
touch.
soon.
Peace.